Good morning and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that have not been here before, my name is Ron. In this video, we're going to do some photography like I always do, but today we're going to use a camera body that I normally use for wildlife. So I'm going to be using the Nikon D500 for some landscape photography, and the majority of the time the Nikon 500 PF lens stays parked on that body. But today I decided to bring it out to do some landscape photography with the D500. Now, of course, you can't do landscape photography with the 500mm lens. Well, waterfall photography specifically, you could use it for landscape photography, and some people do use telephoto lenses, and I've started doing that myself a little bit, but not a 500mm. I like to use a zoom lens, like the 180 to 600, the 200 to 500, a 70 to 200 in my landscape photography. But today I left the 500 PF at home, and what I did bring with me are two kit lenses that are designed specifically for the Nikon DX DSLRs. The two lenses I'm going to be using today, and probably the main lens I'm going to be using today, is the 18 to 55 kit lens. Now, that lens will really surprise you, and we're going to do some photography with it today, and I'm going to show you. Now, being that it's an 18 to 55, I'm not going to be doing a whole bunch of really extreme wide angle shots like I normally would do in my with my Z6ii and my 14 to 30. So with the 18 to 55 on the D500, my full frame equivalency would be what is that, 27 to 72, something like that. I'm sure somebody will correct me on that math, but I'm not going to be extremely wide angle. I do have a circular polarizer from days gone by that's still really good shape for a 52mm thread. And both the lenses I'm using today, the 18 to 55 and the 55 to 200, both take a 52mm thread. I'm not sure if I'll be using the 55 to 200, but I may try to do some close-up shots. This is March the 4th. No, I'm sorry. This is March the 3rd, 2024. And I'm down here on the Cumberland Trail in Graysville, Tennessee. So I didn't have to come very far out of the parking lot to find something that interested me. And I've set up here with the D500. Now, I've already taken a few shots, and let me tell you the first thing I miss. On both of my mirrorless cameras, you can look at the back screen and compose because it's got live view like that. The D500, you can go into live view and look at it, but I prefer to look through the viewfinder because the focusing system is a little bit different when you're using the live view on the D500. So I have to bend down a little bit more. The screen doesn't articulate quite as much as some of the mirrorless cameras. But anyways, I'm going to take some photographs right here. So a couple of things I had to change. I changed my shutter speed to 1/2 of a second. My f-stop is at f8. My ISO is at 100. I had to change my focusing from full-time autofocus to single servo because I had this thing set up for bird photography. So I'm going to take a couple images right here, and if any of them turned out, I'm going to show those to you in the video. So in this image here, I was at 1/2 of a second at f8, and at 18mm into the lens. I'm using the 18 to 55 kit lens, which is a 3.5 to 5.6 G lens, AFS, with VR. Make sure you turn the VR off when you're tripod mounted. I'm not sure if it really matters or not. This is a neat little composition. I kind of like the way it looks here. So that was kind of interesting composition. There's not a great There's not a great deal of flow today, but what I'm seeing is a lot of moss on the rock, especially across the other side of the creek there. This is Roaring Creek, and the water flow is okay. I believe I can work with this today. I did bring the Z8, and I did take a couple shots with it, but my main goal today was to use the D500 strictly, produce some photographs, and show you that these cheaper 18 to 55 and the 55 to 200 lens is still worth owning and not to sell them. I had a set of them a long time ago with I think I bought them with it was either a D3300 or a D5500, one of the two, and I sold them. But after doing some research on them recently, I found out that maybe I'd want to reintroduce those into my kit for the D500, the D200, and the D70. So some of you know me, have watched the channel a little bit, knows that I'm on a vintage lens and vintage body kit, and I kind of like the way they operate, and they're still very useful. The D500 is a 20 megapixel camera. It was mainly produced for sports and wildlife shooters. I'm using it for landscape photography today. The D500 was introduced in 2016, and it was discontinued around 2020. I'm sure there was a marketing reason why they did that. It's a fantastic body, and I know a lot of people who still own them are holding on to them, like me. I mean, I felt like what I should do today was bring it out here and show you what it would do with these kit lenses I've got. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I come out for a hike. I've kind of been out of the hiking game this year, and when I stepped on the scales last night, I went, I need to get out and start walking more. I picked up about 10 or 12 pounds this winter, which I really don't need to do. So here I am, out walking in the woods. So last year, might have been last year, I did a video comparing circular polarizers from this area, and I'll put a link to that video in the description below if you want to go watch it after this one. It tells me about 5 different circular polarizers that I tested out up here at Polecat Falls, and that's where I'm kind of heading this morning, is just taking my time and going up there. Hey, real quick folks, if you get a chance, if you wouldn't mind, if you could hit the like button down below, and if you want to keep up with more of what I do, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bells to keep up with what I do. Thank you. I think the Roaring Creek area of the Cumberland Trail is probably my favorite, one of my favorite parts of the Cumberland Trail. There's just so much to see down here, and I'm going to show you this. I don't know if you can see it or not, this area down here where all these green moss covered rocks are, and I think it's just neat to see that kind of stuff. I'd like to get in there and photograph that, but I would prefer that be a little more water in it. I may have to come back later this spring and do that. You got all these high rock bluffs down here. This is an old roadbed, probably cut in for a railroad. It's part of the hiking trail now. Really beautiful. Okay, we have arrived at Polecat Falls. Now, it got its name because there used to be a pole or a tree log that used to hang down from the waterfall this direction. Well, it got washed out, I don't know, about a year or two ago, year and a half ago. Well, now another pole has appeared across these two rocks. So technically, it's still Polecat Falls. So I'm going to get set up right here, and we're going to do some photography. When you're out here doing this kind of photography, don't be in no big hurry, okay? You got all day, spend all day. If you get in a big rush, things happen. Accidents happen, you drop stuff, you lose stuff, you leave stuff behind. So I just take my time when I'm out here. That's why I kind of like hiking by myself. I don't have to worry about anybody else. If I do hike with somebody else, I'll make sure they're compatible with what I like to do. Not everybody likes to do the same thing. Anyways, I'm gonna pack the bag up and we're gonna go up top of this waterfall next. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and hike on up to the upper part of the falls, and I'm gonna take you along with me. Get my gloves, my hiking stick. I have no earthly idea how these photographs are going to turn out. I'll find out when I get home. So I'm at 18 millimeters, 1/10 of a second. Fully polarized. I think I'm going to have to back up a little bit to get what I want. See, 18 millimeters is 27 full frame equivalent, so it's really not wide enough. Even at 24 sometimes, at 24 to 120 on the full frame. I'm gonna set up right here, try this composition. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put the Z8 with the 24 to 120 on the tripod. Exact same position that I had the D500, except we're going to use the Z mount 24 to 120 lens. The same settings, ISO 100, f8 at 1/10 of a second. And we're going to put both of those images in Lightroom and compare them and see what they look like. So I'm going to take a few shots with the Z8 and I'm going to pack up and go back across that creek over there. Okay, we're going back across this creek, and maybe this time it'll look better on video. Okay, I'm not sure where I came across. I think I came right here. Got to watch your footing. These rocks in here are really slick. And whoa, I just sat down. You don't want to slip and fall because, well, it could be bad. So you just got to kind of feel your way across real slow. That water's cold, yes sir. It is cold. I kind of wedge my foot up against another rock so it doesn't slip. Just kind of feel my way around them. Like that one right there. It don't feel right to me. Woo! Woo! Whoa! If I go in the drink, it's going to be live. So, I'm almost across. I think I'm going to step on that rock right there. I think. Yeah, that was easier going back this way than it was going the other way. Okay, I pretty much made it back across the creek. One more look at the falls before I leave this area. This Polecat Falls. We're gonna make this climb up out of here. probably don't do, this filming don't do much justice to it, but it's steep and rugged. A lot of rocks, a lot of leaves.